Conscious Collaboration brings together entrepreneurs, changemakers, and thought leaders. We aim to highlight the people that embody the idea of aligned mind, body, and business. Each week, we share, discuss, and learn from the various experiences and ideas of our guest experts. Through our discovery, we find a path to an aligned mind, body, and business.
What up, guys? I'm Emily.
And I'm Lisa. And
hey.
We're the Conscious Collaboration. Hey.
Whoop, whoop.
What are we doing today? It feels
Today we're recording a podcast.
What?
It's about, I know what it's about. It's about the idea. We're coming up on the holidays, on Christmas, on New Year's. And so naturally we've been thinking about things like New Year's resolution and that whole concept. And so we're going to talk about a couple of things related to that idea of New Year's resolutions. One being the very definition of it being a resolution versus intentions or living by intention. And then another element being like the timing of it and, you know, why wait? If there's something you know that you ought to do for your highest good or not do, why wait until an arbitrary sort of date on the calendar and create a whole nother set of psychology around it, you know, that it doesn't seem like is very helpful for actually
There's
achieving.
So much pressure on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. It's just a lot of pressure. It makes me think of like, you know, being at a starting gate and, you know, lining up there and shooting the gun. And then like, I would be the one to fall on my face if that were to happen.
Which is goofy when you think about it. At least if you're like me, I've always been a big fan of New Year's Eve as a holiday. Like, we're not necessarily waking up on New Year's Day feeling chipper or you might feel good, but you know, you might also be a little hungover from partying the day before. It just doesn't add up to be, you know, energetically the best day to like get started on, you know, some new ambitious undertaking.
Right.
Whereas if you've already started the undertaking, you know, whatever your goal is, then that takes so much of the pressure off of you to like not have a good time on New Year's Eve because you know that this, you know, what inevitably has been created into some kind of monster by then is looming around the corner. Why do that to yourself?
Too much pressure. We don't need it.
Stop it.
Be more of a celebration. Yeah. So let's talk about those definitions, Emily. We did a little scouring of the internet as we were getting together today. And researched what is everyone saying is the definition of a resolution. And I liked it. I liked the formal definitions were more goal setting oriented. But a lot of the chatter out there around in the blogging communities, you know, there's the popular resolution. I'm going to lose 10, 20 pounds this year. I'm going to make this amount of money. I'm going to meet this person this year. And they're all kind of nebulous and almost feel kind of impossible in a way. Whereas intention, you know, just the word intend, it's those small acts that add up to embodying what you desire to become. And when you put it that way, it's, you know, it feels like we can make our resolutions intentions. But it can be something that we start right now and continue and check in.
And continuously check in year round. I want to bring in a concept that's been studied in the context of nutrition, dieting, eating well. And I feel like this could probably be applied to this idea of New Year's resolutions versus intentions. And that is that when we are restrictive in nature. When we take a restrictive approach to nutrition or to dieting specifically, that is when you get your statistic of like 97% of diets fail, or whatever that is often quoted. And versus when someone just takes a more holistic approach to their nutrition, a reasonable, balanced, not extreme, not terribly restrictive approach, then they tend to be exponentially more successful and sustain those results. So, like I said, I think that could be applied to just about anything. If you're approaching this goal or task or resolution, however you label it in your mind, with a restrictive mindset or an extreme mindset, or a high pressure mindset, I feel like you're definitely less likely to actually achieve or sustain whatever that thing is, versus if you took a more reasoned, balanced approach, you could achieve that goal and maintain it for a lifetime. And if you are regularly doing continual year-round check-ins, I don't see why that's not completely possible for people.
Yeah, we were talking even yesterday just about the idea of like how when we have a goal, a nutrition goal, for example, like I'm going to eat healthier. That doesn't necessarily mean I can't enjoy a slice of cake every now and then. But then when you eat
Absolutely.
that cake, it's someone might punish themselves for eating that cake.
Right.
Then
starts the cycle of not sticking with the process.
Yeah. So like the idea of resolutions can sometimes feel like a cage, restrictive, very punishing, as we were saying.
And I think that would also encourage a more like overzealous attitude around the holidays in general. Like, oh, I know that, I'm not going to be able to do XYZ after the holidays, so I'm just going to do all of it,
load up
over
now.
the course of this 7 days. And you just end up feeling like shit by the end of it.
And then you give up. Yeah, it's not sustainable, like you were saying.
Right.
When we were chatting before we hit record today, we were talking about the idea of knowing our truth and what we are focused on achieving, and knowing our worth, and that we're worthy of what we have envisioned. So there's a disconnect between that when you think about the way our society does resolutions and then builds a whole marketing plan behind it. Like, oh, you want to lose 10 pounds? Here's a whole bunch of gadgets to fill your house up with. That is just another, then your next year might be your resolutions to declutter because it's, creating another unhealthy habit to replace one, to replace another. So it goes against what we were saying, that punishing ourselves in a way, like that's the wrong energy to go into goal setting.
Right.
It needs to be in like a holistic, nurturing, bettering ourselves. Yesterday I was saying it's kind of like, parenting ourselves, or coming from a place of
yes,
loving guidance.
Punishing versus parenting. Yes.
Yeah. And that requires us to be accountable and have a great deal of self-evaluation and honest self-evaluation, like a good look in the mirror, like what am I doing? And how can I create some rituals or practices that will be easy to sustain and to maintain and it doesn't have to be something that's throughout the entire year, but it might become part of your lifestyle overall, your life journey, as we say, in a lot of modalities and practices. And I know in yoga as well, but in feng shui, we talk a lot about that life journey energy. And that's an idea or an energy that contains and is affected by a lot of different components. And that involves our career, what we're feeding our minds, and our wisdom, and what we're learning about ourselves. All of these things are constantly in action. So it's not just taking away that piece of cake. Instead, looking at it is, what is the goal, the objective I'm trying to achieve, and then all the different parts of life that contribute towards that, that can be activated, we say, in some ways, but keep all of those parts of us fed so that we can achieve that overall sense of wellness.
Yeah. Where can I make adjustments so that I can enjoy the piece of cake without consequence, and not be tempted to eat the whole cake once or twice a week.
Right.
The cake really being any sort of thing that you're trying to tackle, whether it's food related or not.
And I think it matters too. We were talking about the idea of, okay, sure, we write down our goals and our objectives for ourselves, but then there's also that, like, we're sharing with people in our community and our network what are our goals on another level. And it's kind of like, if I share this, there'll be more accountability. When you are setting your goal or resolution as, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and you tell everybody that I'm going to lose 10 pounds this year, that carries a negative energy too, because then you've got a bunch of people policing your cake. But if you rephrase and use the right words, because words matter, and say that I intend to be healthier than I am today, and perhaps even, or greater, perhaps I'm even as healthy as I was in my 20s, and that's how healthy, or healthier, because I don't know that my 20s were very healthy. Did you see my face when I said that? I was
well, maybe that's not the best example.
I had a flashback to ramen noodles.
Could just get away with a lot more in terms of unhealthy habits.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're
look like you're doing all right,
you're sharing your objective with your friends, your circle, even your community, or blasting out in social media. Choose words that are positive, because we know the power of shared intention and people putting behind. Not everyone's going to be a fan of the glow up, as we said. So there's going to be people that want to thwart your efforts, whether they know it or not. It's irritating when you're comfortable with it can be irritating when you're comfortable with people in a certain way, the certain way that you know them or experience them, and they're changing. So it's that aspect too. When you are making a resolution, it might not carry the right energy in words itself.
Versus just living with intention
and embodying that. I think, as we were talking about, embodying that which you desire to become, and exemplifying it. Not everything needs to be shared in depth. Keep some of your cards close to you. But yeah, when you are making intentions, these are little check-ins with yourself every day, that push that needle forward, even though other people might not see these small movements that you're making, or actions or statements. They all add up.
I posted a meme in that regard recently that was like, the grind may go unnoticed, but the results do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, no one knows what's going on really behind the scenes of all that you are setting out to achieve. And
And go ahead.
oh yeah, it goes back to refining too. So we were talking about things becoming a scary monster at the end of the year. Like you're coming up on November. Oh shoot, like I didn't even come close to losing 10 pounds. And then you're like, oh, I'm gonna not eat at all. It becomes a scary monster. But when you are doing daily intention setting, it's refining your goal into easier parts that you can take
Yeah,
in.
absolutely.
And I think that, takes away that scary monster syndrome. I'm sorry to interrupt you. What were you going to say?
That's all right. I don't even know. Oh yeah. So the reason we were on this whole idea of sort of not being too oversharing with your goals and your intentions, I guess. That came from our I Ching reading that Lisa did before the recording here, which if you're in our Conscious Collaboration Collective Facebook group, you can actually watch that. But at any rate, one of the I Ching cards was about darkness before the light, basically. And what I took from it was that it was mainly talking about in times where people around you were particularly acting up, basically cutting up. They cutting up out there.
It said everyone's being stupid.
Yeah. I think the holiday season is like probably the worst time for that. You've got, it's getting dark at like 4 p.m. You've got kind of seasonal affective stuff going on. You've got the whole just consumer bonanza around Christmas and people overspending and inevitably enhancing that lack mentality and, all the pressure that people putting on themselves for family and friends visiting and traveling and gifts and just, cooking and all the things. So people are cutting up right now. People are, in a lot of ways, not everybody, of course, but many people are just not putting their best foot forward right now. So, this just may not be the time to share outside of what your safe spaces are. And to utilize darkness doesn't have to equal bad. You can utilize that darkness because the self-evaluation that's required to implement these goals, resolutions, and intentions is much better done in the dark and in the quiet.
Yeah. And that inner work and reflection. And it alluded to also not getting swept up with the energy of everybody else and the frenzy. You don't have to go wait in the long lines for the things that are out. And if everyone's ganging up on the barista, or baristas at this time of year, but, don't get swept up in that and, break out of that, break out of the consumerism in that regard and really look to those basics and the things that really make us feel happy, safe, and secure. That's when we can make better ideas and decisions. And, yeah.
And we were talking about before also really using this time in sort of opposite way from how it's evolved to be in the US at least. And rather than just taking on all kinds of new stuff, taking in all kinds of new stuff, rather using this time to declutter and release and, just let go of whoever is no longer serving you.
Yeah. Let go and make room. Or maybe
decrease. That was the card. Yeah.
Yep. It was decrease. And the first one was darkening of the light. And it also speaks about avoid looking too far ahead
Mm-hmm.
if you've not achieved your goal. Like that, going back to that idea of like things looking too far ahead, it's going to look impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But what are all the small things that add up to embody what it is?
Right. Like, and maybe, losing 10 pounds could be a goal, but starting with, I'm going to record what I eat every day for a week so that I am more aware of my consumption habits is a much more tangible and less intimidating with a clear path to victory, right? Then I'm going to lose 10 pounds in this time period, no matter what.
Right. Exactly.
But guess what? That 1 week of, beginning to create that habit of logging your food will get you further towards that ultimate idea of losing 10 pounds.
It's a game changer, just that in itself. And you use the words I am, using the words I am,
committing,
making that commitment to yourself through words rather than I need to lose.
Yeah.
I need. We talked a lot about that. The words attachment came up a lot, and resistance. So the more that we are attached to an outcome, the more the outcome resists us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that clinging, that idea of clinging, and the harder you cling, the harder something pulls away from you. Stop it.
Dang it.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Visualize what you want overall to be certain. Put yourself in that energy. Like really, it's like daydream about it, right? Feel the feelings of what it feels like. But then to get there, we don't need to make some grand gesture on December 31st that starts to get carried out on January 1st.
Right.
We break it down and we start to add or subtract, however that looks, simple, achievable habits one at a time to get ourselves closer to that ultimate goal.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that it also talks about in the time of decrease, as we're talking about not having a lot of stuff. And the I Ching tells a story of young lovers that they have nothing. There's nothing to combine even in that phase, and sharing a space. It doesn't matter because the richness is a within feeling versus look at all the stuff that we have combined. It says the smallest of action, if sincere, can have great value. But it's the sincerity that feels rich in itself. And remain confident for a time of decrease may actually bode good fortune, especially if you remain open. So remaining open to the possibility of anything that's coming in. You and I always talk about when we're manifesting that we have someone that we listen to on YouTube that makes a great reference about like a manifestation hack. And yeah, I don't even have to say it because
ordering spaghetti.
Yeah, ordering the spaghetti.
Yeah.
So it's like having that great vision, like, oh, I really want this to experience. I want to eat this spaghetti.
But then you let it go. You don't attach yourself to it.
We don't
follow the server around and be like, yo, is my spaghetti ready yet? I really want that spaghetti. I want the spaghetti.
When does the spaghetti come? Like, the spaghetti comes when you forget about it and you get up
table, enjoy the spaghetti restaurant. Don't leave. Don't go to the taco truck.
But when you go to the restroom is when the spaghetti shows up when you come back.
Right. When you go to the restroom and you forget about it and you're doing something else, or you're having a great conversation, or whatever it is. You order up the thing.
It's even better.
Stay in the spaghetti restaurant. You do the things that will get you closer in the energy of that thing that you're trying to manifest, and then
it shows up even
when it's ready. When it's ready. Do you want your spaghetti before it's ready? I don't think so. No. I don't want my ground beef to be,
I I don't want
waiting,
to annoy anyone that's preparing my spaghetti either.
No, absolutely not.
So
Definitely
it,
don't
it
want to
says,
annoy the universe.
so the I Ching also said in the energy, do not needlessly stimulate forces of opposition.
Mm-hmm.
So just like in, as we talked about the getting in the right energy when you're making your intentions or setting your goals, you don't want to inject in there words or unnecessary things, putting constraints on yourself or
Like saying, I'm so bad at blah, blah. I'm so lazy. I'm, giving yourself those limits automatically. Mm-hmm. We all do it to some degree with certain things, but those little words matter.
they sure do.
Sure do.
They sure do, Emily.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and I understand it's a frustration, especially as we're moving through the year. And, so it's normal, I think, for people to look back and have some regret or frustration. But, immediately when you start to get into those realms of, this is not serving me very well to be frustrated, or where's my spaghetti, or now
Hit
I'm
the gratitude.
yeah,
Hit the
turn on,
gratitude button. That's what you
distract
got to do. That's
yourself.
the fastest way out of that.
Yep. Gratitude,
Look
joy.
around you. Okay, I feel myself getting frustrated. What the fuck can I be grateful for right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'll find all kinds of things if you just like chill out on your destructive train of thought.
yes.
I'm talking to myself, by the way.
Such good advice too. Yeah. Going back to that whole self-worthiness and
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you deserve,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing your truth and why you set out and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Because when you're telling yourself these things like I'm so lazy or this or that, you're really what you're doing is just solidifying your own belief that you're not worthy of whatever it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I hear time and time again, our brains are constantly looking to affirm what we believe.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's better to believe the positive.
Mm-hmm. Another thing comes to mind as well, going back to our episode with Ephraim, and
Finances,
certainly how the holiday season is very inflammatory to our worst financial habits and tendencies. If you start to really take on this mindset of, goals and resolutions and intentions really just being a continual process, that is very likely to help you from going down that hole of overspending on the holidays, feeling guilty, or whatever kind of comes along with that for you. Perhaps more escaping, more destructive behaviors.
Yeah.
So, this stuff seems a little light, a little airy fairy, but really it could be, it could connect to all areas of life.
Yeah. We need to have Ephraim come back.
Yeah, we do.
After the new year. Yeah.
Are you listening, Ephraim? You're coming back.
Yeah. I'm going to message him right now.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it all comes down to ultimately, filling and nourishing our souls and reconnecting with our purpose. That's a part of our life journey versus trying to check a box so we can achieve some other, society expectation or,
keeping up with the Jonesies.
Keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah. Hungry ghost syndrome, as we call it. But yeah, the grass is always greener.
Mm-hmm.
And instead look at it as and this comes up a lot too, accepting and giving yourself some grace. to allow yourself to be that which you're desiring.
Mm-hmm. The grass is greener where it's watered.
Ooh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, So as we're moving towards the end of the year, and there is this, and we talked about this decrease, there's going to be hopefully some taking of a break, and some things are going to be slowing down. We talked about the importance of taking that as an opportunity to evaluate things now. Don't wait for December 1st. Evaluate the foundations now,
Mm-hmm.
looking within and getting rid of all of the stuff that is probably holding back creativity or being able to even get to the place where you could feel safe enough to imagine something greater.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just a good feng shui rule in general, right? If things are feeling icky and sticky, like declutter.
Yeah. Declutter and get some movement.
Mm-hmm.
Bring some movement into your space. If you're within feeling bogged down, stagnant, perhaps, and that shows up in depression or even overwhelm, complacency. If you're feeling that, then look around and declutter. And it could be your immediate space or your workspace or even your car. If you're carrying around, that's terrible. If you're carrying around a lot of clutter and baggage in your car, it's time to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. And the more that happens, the more it frees up space and it allows you to see things that can be improved upon and opportunities. And it makes you feel lighter overall.
Yes.
To have less things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I know I get into that habit where I'm decluttering, especially with the two kids, and we go through together and put together a bag to donate. And then it goes in the car. And then I'm driving around with
You drive around for a couple months with it.
looking for a place to donate.
Mm-hmm.
But getting rid of some of that stuff, it feels good for us. I know it feels good for the kids. So that is a good practice when in feng shui. One of the first steps is space clearing, reducing clutter, resetting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go in and do your goal setting. Then you go in and start envisioning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Word. Yeah.
What else can we leave with today, Emily? How about
I think that's the meat and potatoes of it. Or the tofu and potatoes, if you're into that. But times are crazy. From a, trainer and yogi perspective, of course, now is the optimal time to maintain some consistency with all the things that keep you grounded, that keep you strong, and that keep you restored. So your grounding, your breathing, your sunlight, make sure you go outside, when
and
it's
you're putting it on the
appropriate.
calendar, right?
Yes.
You're putting your workouts on the calendar.
Yes.
And you know what I love too about the app that I have with you for my training is that it gives me like the daily reminder to do.
Yes. Yes. And,
there's my little
people like to
reminder.
check things off. So you get to check stuff off.
Yeah, I do. That's very satisfying. So if you need some sort of like accountability, now's the time to rally it up. Like that would be a great gift for yourself.
So now is the time to do all that stuff and to be consistent with all that stuff so that you can take a couple of days, relax over the holidays, not freak out about what you're going to eat or, whether or not you're going to get to the gym. Awesome if you can, but if you're consistent, throughout the rest of your time and not putting things off and putting things off and putting things off until January 1st, then you'll have the mental freedom to enjoy the holidays more.
That sounds much better. I like that. Yeah, get your engine started now so you have the momentum going.
Yeah.
And make it a celebration and and relax.
Absolutely.
All right, Emily. Well, I think it's been a good one. I'm looking forward to New Year. Last year was fun going.
Last year was so fun.
Was.
We rang in the new year together. We might have to do that again. We might have to run that back.
Yeah, we got some good exercise in that evening.
Yeah, we did. A couple of blisters on my feet.
Maybe we won't be wearing heels. Maybe.
I probably will.
We'll get another Uber.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fun. I can't wait until next time. I can't wait to hear everybody's intentions that they're sharing inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective. And if you haven't joined us there yet, we hope to see you inside. You can look for the link provided in the description. And, that is it.
That's all I got for you guys.
We'll talk to you next time, and I'll see you in 5.
See you in 5. Bye.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends so they can join our circle of collaboration on this journey. You can find us on Instagram at Conscious Collaboration Podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, to name a few. Please join us next time for another deep dive into how you can live life in more alignment, mind, body, and business. Send us your questions and comments in our DMs or email us at consciouscollaborationpodcast@gmail.com. See you in 5 minutes.